Hi, this is Melissa Wagenhofer. This is video journal number 3 for week number 7. This week's journal was on observations on behavioral characteristics of an ASD student and the interventions that were used to address the behaviors. The observation was done in an ASD 1st through 4th grade classroom, and there were 4 adults in the classroom, a teacher, and 3 instructional assistants, and the student observed will be referred to as student A just for confidentiality reasons. Behavior characteristics of ASD that I observed by student A were happiness, contentment, avoidance, sensory experience, and repetitive movements. When student A arrived at school, he seemed to be happy to be there. He approached staff, hugged them, and sat to eat his breakfast. While eating his breakfast, student A seemed to be content. He sat willingly, opening his milk, his cinnamon roll, and fruit, and proceeded to eat until it was time to clean up and go to class. Once arriving in class, student A followed morning routine and participated in morning circle. But during circle time, student A, he covered his ears and he closed his eyes, and it was to avoid distressing stimuli. While other students sang songs, Good Morning, ABC Rock, Number, Days of the Week, Months of the Year, he did not participate in singing at all. And he sat there with his hands covering his ear during each song. So there was a break in between, and he would take his hands off. And once they started singing again, he would cover his ears and close his eyes again. So he participated in calendar, he participated in counting, he participated in all the other things, just not the singing. Once circle time was over, students were broken into groups and attended centers. Students were each given a visual schedule, so they knew where to go first, next, etc. There were teacher-led centers and student-led centers. During teacher-led centers, which was math and English language arts, student A engaged in other sensory experiences. So in math, he used manipulatives and a fidget toy. He used the manipulatives to complete his task, and he used the fidget toys as a reward. Transitions were smooth, and student A knew where he was to go next by using his visual schedule. During student-led centers, student A exhibited repetitive behaviors through repeated body movements, which were hand flapping, and returning back to the activity. Student A did this throughout the duration of the student-led center. The interventions that were observed being used to address student A's behavior were affirmation, redirection, classroom design, visuals, positive reinforcement, manipulatives, support, and a token board. When student A displayed happiness, staff was affirmative and affectionate in return. I think this intervention or strategy was successful because this seemed to make student A feel comfortable and content to eat his breakfast, setting him up for a positive day. During circle time, when student A covered his ears and closed his eyes to avoid distressing stimuli, instructional assistants redirected student back to circle time and encouraged him to open his eyes. They did not request that he remove his hands from his ears, which made compliance easier for him and deterred sensory overload. I think this was effective because he was participating through watching, yet comfortable enough not to be overstimulated and act out through undesired behaviors. Before and during centers, students were provided visual schedules, which made transitions flow smoothly and students knew where they were going in advance. Staff also used a large 12-inch visual clock with a beeper and announced when there was only 1 minute left, so that students knew how much time each center was and how much time was left before transition. Once time ran out and the beeper and the timer beeped, student A moved to the next center with ease. This is a fantastic, effective strategy because it gave student A advance notice of change before it happened. It also enabled him to transition seamlessly. Classroom design also enabled student A to transition within the classroom with ease. The class seemed to flow effortlessly during centers. And during centers, staff used token boards and fidget sensory objects to redirect and reinforce compliance and desired student behaviors. When student A participated and complied in his undesired teacher-led center, he was able to use manipulatives, fidget sensory objects to keep his attention on task. The token board allowed him to earn free time of his choice, another affirmation technique. These strategies were very effective because it kept student A's attention on the designated task, deterred any undesired behaviors, and enabled him to independently transition and regulate his behaviors. As for student A's stimming during student-led centers, staff enabled him to release his anxiety, stress, overstimulation without interruption because he returned back to the task quickly. And his hand flapping was brief, It was often, but brief. I think this was a fantastic strategy to use because it supported his need to release his anxiety, stress, or overstimulation. It enabled him to independently self-regulate, and it deterred undesired behaviors. And that's it. Have a great day.